Mother abandons her only child at the airport. Years later, she reaches out. Parenting is always stressful. You need to constantly keep an eye on your children and make sure they are safe and protected at all times. Back in 2003, one mother found herself in a challenging situation and had to say goodbye to her baby daughter as she handed her over to a total stranger in a foreign airport. After immigrating from Sierra Leone, Zainab Sese started her new life in Maryland. She got married and built a successful career. Later, she and her husband welcomed a beautiful baby girl, Maya, to the family. But there was one more thing Zainab desperately wanted to accomplish. She hadn't been back home ever since she immigrated to Maryland and thought a trip to Sierra Leone together with Maya would be an amazing experience. Although things didn't turn out exactly as planned. The situation in Sierra Leone was far from calm and welcoming. The country had recently gone through an 11-year civil war. Maya was having a difficult time adjusting to the different mentality of Sierra Leone. It was nothing like Maryland. They had no other choice but to get used to washing clothes outside and using generators for lighting. For a while, Maya and Zainab started enjoying the everyday life of Sierra Leone. But then, life took a toll on their happiness. Maya had a medical emergency and needed to return to Maryland as soon as possible. But sadly, Zainab couldn't afford to buy plane tickets back home, and Maya was way too young to fly alone. The only way for Maya to travel back home was to find another adult that would fly with her. Zainab took Maya and went to the airport. She was hoping to find there a trusted individual traveling to America that would be willing to look after her daughter. Zainab approached many people at the airport, but no one wanted to take responsibility for a small child traveling across the ocean. Eventually, she asked the representative for Brussels Airlines for help. Seeing how upset Zainab was, the airline representative discreetly pointed at a man sitting close to the gate. And just by looking at him once, Zainab could tell he wasn't in the best emotional state. She didn't know whether the man had good intentions or not, but hoped for the best. The man Zainab approached was Tom Perriello, who was also going through a difficult time. He was flying back home to attend a funeral, as his only living grandmother had just died. Tom was an American lawyer who had traveled to Sierra Leone to help with the prosecution of war criminals after the war. She explained the situation and begged Tom to help her daughter. He was hesitant to accept Zainab's offer. He didn't want to get involved with any sort of trafficking scam. But eventually, Perriello believed her. But it wasn't until later when Zainab realized what she had just done. At first, Zainab felt relieved. But after Maya boarded the plane with Tom, she began doubting her decision. Oh my God, I don't even know this guy, she realized. I didn't take any of his information, I had no clue how to reach him. But it was too late. Later, Zainab woke up from her phone ringing. Her mother delivered the scary news. Zainab's plan didn't fall through. Maya could be in real danger. Maya and Tom had been stopped in Côte d'Ivoire because Tom didn't have the documents required to prove he was allowed to travel with her. Without the required paperwork, Maya wouldn't be allowed to fly to Maryland. The deadline for providing the necessary documents was 24 hours. There was no way Zainab could come up with a solution in such a short notice without access to a fax machine or email. The only other person who could provide the paperwork was her mother. That night, Zainab didn't sleep at all. She stayed awake, waiting for her mother's call. But as the hours went by with no news about Maya, she started to worry that something awful happened to her girl. Finally, hours later, Zainab's mother called and said that Maya and Tom were already on their way to America. Maya's grandmother picked her up from the airport and thanked Tom for his help. Back then, she didn't even know his name. Maya and her mother spent several years searching for Tom. They wanted to thank the man for his kind gesture. However, it was nearly impossible to find Periello without knowing his name. As time went by, Zainab slowly forgot what the man who saved her daughter's life looked like. But one day, 15 years later, a mutual connection of Tom and Zainab was able to piece the story together. Finally, they were able to find Tom's identity. Zainab was glad she could finally meet the man and thank him properly. Not only was Tom a successful lawyer, but he was now a governor of Virginia. When he returned from Africa, he went to work at the State Department as a congressman. He told Zainab that Maya wouldn't stop crying that day at the airport. To calm her down, Tom would sing songs for her while they were in Creole. Due to the difficulties that Maya faced at the airport, Tom didn't make it on time for his connecting flight back home and missed his grandmother's funeral. However, he didn't regret for a minute the sacrifice he made that day at the airport. She could now get the treatment she needed. He was happy to see Maya reunite with her own grandmother. One of the happier moments in my life was seeing Maya run into her grandmother's arms, Tom said. He might have saved her life that day. Maya was also excited to finally meet Tom. It was like a weight had been lifted. It's just been this ghost of a person, 15 years, she said. I just want to hug him tightly, and thank him. What would you do if you were in Zainab's position? Leave a comment below. Thanks for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, please like, share and subscribe to our channel for more content.